Australian ingredients for the ultimate crisp and smooth and refreshing lager. Brewed in the mountains, easy drinking anywhere. In this company, Mountain Culture. They're based out in Katoomba in the Blue Mountains, which is actually just not that far from where I live here in Western Sydney. And actually, my work has partnered with them. They're one of our beverage partners, so that's why I ended up getting this. They were giving these away at our work Christmas party, which was this last Monday, December 1st. I got 2 of these. I already had one, but I thought that, I don't drink very often these days, rarely, but I got a free can of beer so that I'll have a drink here, and it's a good excuse for me to get on camera and just talk a little bit. The beer itself is okay. It's very light, flavor-wise. Now, I'm not the biggest beer person, but it's not the worst. So since I've been here in Australia, I've tried like the big 4 of the major Australian beers, which is Carlton Dry, VB, 4X, and Great Northern. I believe there's also Dewey's, which I have not tried yet. Those are sort of the major beers, and of those, Great Northern is easily my favorite, the one I like the best. This is okay. It's a little bit. Let me take another sip. No, I'm not a big beer person, so I don't really know what I'm talking about or what I'm looking for, but I think it's a little bit too hopsy for me. The flavor profile reminds me a little bit of like an IPA, and I do not like IPAs. So for me, I don't like IPAs, I don't like stouts. I'm not a fan of like a heavy beer. Really, I like pilsners. I like lagers. I like sours. I don't know what Mexican beers are classified as, but I like Mexican beers like Tecate and Corona. I'm a big fan of Kin Ichiban, the Japanese beer. But really anything that's heavier than that, hopsier, darker, I'm just sort of out. This is okay. I would definitely drink another one of these, but on the rare occasion I go to a bar or restaurant, order a beer, I think I'd be looking elsewhere, but maybe it's like a 6 out of 10. I've also been thinking that as we're coming into the end of the year now, it is already December. I'd like to do another Q&A video. I think the last one that I did was, this time last year. So my last Q&A video was February 27th, 2024. So it's actually since my last Q&A video. Which is actually kind of crazy to think about. So I'd like to do another one. And I think like I have decently more subscribers now. I've got, my view count is gone up on average, like across the board a bit more. So I think that now is probably a good time to do another Q&A video as we come into the holiday season. So if you have any questions in particular that you'd like to ask me for a Q&A video, of course within reason, I won't answer anything that's like personally incriminating. I won't answer anything that's like a controversial topic, because I know I'll get my channel banned from YouTube or like blacklisted. But anything else, like personal questions about me or my opinions on things, or even like, I don't know, any sorts of questions, I'll ask across a handful of videos over the next little while. And, we'll do that. Also, speaking of, like I was talking about my work Christmas party, I've had some people like make some passing comments or such, like saying that they'd like me to sort of talk more about my work or like things I've encountered or just dealt with at work and things like that, probably more in this sort of format. And actually, as of like 2 weeks ago, I have officially gone past my 1 year mark in my current role. So, like I work for a company that owns and operates a few different businesses. Back in back in July of 2024, because my first day of work was the 4th of July, so July of 2024, I got hired on at one of those businesses in a social media role. And I had a very limited job scope within the overall company. But then by November, I think 14th or 18th, was my first day in my current role. Basically, the group marketing manager who I had been having monthly meetings with to sort of like try to align our brand more closely with the overall group brand. I basically had a meeting with him, and he was like, we're gonna bring you up onto our team. So instead of just marketing and doing social media in this very limited scope for one of our brands, you're gonna be working group-wide across our entire business group as a digital marketing coordinator. That's my new role title. And so like at the time I thought, oh yeah, that's great. And so I went in there middle of November. I had a little bit of a transition period where I was doing like half and half across the two roles, and then it's full time my new role since November 14th or 18th, something like that. I can't remember what. So I'm now 1 year past into that marketing degree. My degree is in digital technology and communications. So it's sort of applicable because so much of my job is digital. I'm basically taking what the other people on my marketing team have created, briefed out, those sorts of things, and then I take it from them, and then I deliver it, deploy it, where it needs to be, whether that's in an email, a text message, a website page, a video screen, a social media post, what have you. And then obviously, like, one thing I have learned is that in the world of marketing, in particular digital marketing, and maybe it's just our group, but based on what I hear from other people in the industry, it seems to be more common than not, is there's a lot of mission creep. Like for example, this Sunday evening, I will be out doing some like community outreach events and some things like that. They're clearly like not part of my job description, but as our CEO likes to tell us in our like nearly daily instances of him dropping into the office just to chit-chat with us, like, our department is sort of like the engine for the entire business, so people from all over will kind of just waltz into our office and, X, Y, and Z, and then we move on and go with that. So that's one of the first like big lessons I've learned in this role. It's like being in the corporate world, being in corporate marketing world, I think especially in our industry, like my job title and my job descriptions is one thing, but my day-to-day tasks say another. Like, for example, we have this sort of community initiative going. It all started off very small scale, which is sort of a social community outreach thing. We had scheduled one event that we were gonna host around it, in support of it, but then that one event ended up going quite well, and we attracted a lot of community interest at that event, and a bunch of local businesses, government programs, initiatives showed a lot of interest and bought in. And so then that sort of morphed into this quasi organization of its own that has its own staff and its own stakeholders in it. That's sort of technically a part of our umbrella, but then also sort of not. We fund it, but it's a community outreach thing, so it's like a tax deductible thing. I don't know how that whole side of things works. That's all for my CFO to decide, but and I basically spent 2 weeks building a website from scratch for this, what was meant to be this 1-day community outreach initiative, into its own web presence with its own social media, its own community events, and sort of amalgamated and realistically my manager, my boss probably should have been taking the lead on all that, but he's bogged down with stuff 6 hours of the 8 hours a day we're in the office. And there'll be days that we'll be in meetings literally all day long, and you'll have to like log in at like 10 o'clock at night after the rest of his family goes to bed just to like get through his email. So sometimes I'll speak, listen, like I'm just gonna grab the reins here and I'm gonna write this thing out. So I built a website from scratch for that initiative, and it's been really successful actually. Over the last 3 months, web traffic is up, I think, 560% from launch. So people are pretty pleased with that. But that is completely outside of my job description. But then also, like, the perks and bonuses of corporate that, like, obviously it's a sliding scale. Some you get more, some you get less, but like, we had our big group-wide Christmas party on Monday that like everybody was invited to, and the executive team all went up and gave speeches and talked about this is what we're doing 2026, this is how we did last year, this, that, the other. But then each team also gets its own individual Christmas party. In addition to that, it's like us, our marketing team, we're going into Sydney City itself, into the harbor. And we're doing this like scavenger hunt and then just getting like, I don't know, blacked out at a bar afterwards. So that's happening next week, so 2 Christmas parties. But it's been an interesting transition for me because, I mean, truth be told, I never saw myself working in a corporate setting. You know, for years and years, I was an independent videographer and editor. I did a lot of things like real estate videos. That was one of my major clients, was a real estate restoration company, and I would do a lot of things for him. I did weddings, I did music videos, and I worked for a company that did live streams for AAU basketball games, and that was actually a really, really fun gig. My degree was sort of like centered around setting myself up as like a fully remote, independently contractable, like creative. Basically, do you need me to create graphics for you? Do you need me to create video, photo content for you? This, that, the other. That was sort of how I was setting myself up, and that's how I was sort of predicting my future to go, because my whole thing had always sort of been like, I want to work for myself and be my own boss, set my own hours, do what I want to do when I want to do it. And it was good when I had few responsibilities, you know, like I was single, living with roommates, and my rent plus utilities was like less than $500 a month. And I could eat on like $30 a week. Like literally all I was doing was like paying bare minimum in rent, bare minimum in food, and like playing video games, going to school, going to the gym. That was basically all I did with my life. Like even when I first started this YouTube channel, that was basically my routine. And with the independent contracted stuff, there would be months or like, let's say that real estate restoration company, I think the best month I ever did, they hired me to do 3 jobs in 1 month. I think that month he paid me $6,000. I think $6,000. I was like, mid-20s, again, living with roommates, 500 to 600 bucks a month in total expenses, like $6,000. I was like, man, I'm sitting pretty with this. But then there'd be times like, so I'd get that like $6,000 a month, but then you might not hear from the guy for 3 months, no jobs for 3 months, sometimes 4 months, and all of a sudden, now he's calling you up and he has 2 of them and he needs you to be out there tomorrow. And I was actually really struggling to meet new clients and grow, especially because I was living outside of Portland proper. I got this one decently good gig, but the guy dragged his feet, took forever on everything, but it's basically this little web series about Portland-based indie bands. And he would basically like invite these bands to come play at a house party at his house. And they would film all that performance. And then he would like interview the band, and I basically took it and turned it into this little like 8-part web series. I think it's all on YouTube. It's called House Blend. Be interesting to see if it's actually still up there. Yeah, it is actually. How many episodes out there? House Blend. Oh, he actually did a second series. But the one I did was eight episodes. It's actually pretty decent, but like I got a nice paycheck for that. But it took like half a year or more of work to get there. But it just like those things just never really evolved into anything more. I really felt like I was spinning my wheels. So that's basically to say, like, I never foresaw myself coming into the corporate world, and if I did, I always sort of viewed it as like I would hate it. It would be a temporary thing, but I've actually enjoyed the structure of it a lot more than I was anticipating. And part of that, I'm sure, is because of the company and my coworkers. It's a very laid-back vibe, and we're not a publicly traded company. So there's no, like, shareholder profits that we're beholden to. And all of our executive team, there's only 2. The CEO and the CFO, they're both present. I talk to them almost every day or on first name basis, like we joke around. So it's just a good atmosphere. Then my direct coworkers, like, we get along really well. They're all people that I would hang out with outside the office, and I have a good boss who's not a micromanager, and he's he's very, like, he's always like, this is just a job. Like, if you have any family stuff going on, if you need to be anywhere for any reason, like, just take the time off and just go. Like, no questions asked, as long as you get whatever you need done and you don't make a habit of it. Like, he's super chill. I ask for any time off for any reason, he's always approved it. We just had somebody on my team, they got surprised with like a 3-week holiday to Greece. A family member like bought them their ticket, and they're like, we're leaving next week. And she obviously, like, this is super last minute during the Christmas holiday period, like, super convenient across the board, and it was like, no questions asked, like, yeah, just take the time and go, like, so that vibe is all really good. And then obviously the security that I absolutely did not have before. And it really, I feel like my boss is sort of like setting me up to eventually down the line sort of take his spot a bit, because his previous job before he got his role now was doing what I do, so he's sort of like teaching me everything he knows, and then I'll move into his role either here or elsewhere, so that'll be fun. But I've been enjoying, especially working in marketing. I never thought that I would, and I think I had preconceived notions of what it was all about that have been completely shattered now that I work in it. And honestly, a lot of what I do every day is a lot of like data visualization as well. Sales data, customer trends, customer analytics, customer demographics. Like, I'm looking at that stuff all the time. We have a database of like almost 200,000 contacts. And that's live updating, removing, adding, and like every day I'm in there. And I'm kind of like, man, I didn't realize there would be this much like Excel and math. But I used to like hate Excel, and now like I kind of have gotten to the point where like I open up Excel, I'm only in it for maybe 30 minutes to an hour every day, but like I feel like I'm like enjoying that as well. Moving past that, I've also seen some comments requesting me doing some more traditional sort of ASMR videos, which honestly are things I've sort of purposefully avoided over the years, just because it's not something that I watch, and I pretty much only like to make content that is the sort of content that I would watch or am watching. So sometimes if I like get onto a subject matter tangent, like at the moment right now I've been watching, reading and watching a lot of things about Napoleon Bonaparte. So because I've been reading and watching all this stuff about Napoleon, I'm like, oh, let's do an ASMR video talking about Napoleon, and then maybe I'll do another ASMR video where I'm playing Total War Napoleon, something like that. Like, all these tangents where I'm kind of, hammering one topic. And that's why I do so much sports content, because I like watching sports content. Particularly, I like watching ASMR sports content. So that's the kind of stuff that I'll then make. But I don't really watch traditional ASMR videos, and I think it's because, like, at this point, after like almost a decade, if not more, of watching ASMR videos, I rarely, if ever, get tingles anymore. I still sometimes do. And when I do get them, they're very intense. But it's not like the way it used to be. I'd get tingles from ASMR, and they'd be like all down my body, and they would persist for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, but now, on a rare occasion, an ASMR video actually gives me tingles. Within like 5 minutes, I'm not getting them anymore. So the main reason I watch ASMR now is to engage with content I'm interested in a more relaxed, calm, laid-back manner. Because so much YouTube content nowadays is people yelling, screaming at the camera, being super hyperactive, very loud and boisterous, and I'm just not interested in that. I want to chill out, calm down, relax, and listen listen to topics I'm interested in, which is why I make these videos, because it's also a way for me to talk about things I'm interested in a relaxing manner. That's why I record most of my videos at nighttime before bed, because it helps calm me down and relax before I go to sleep. But if it's something that you guys would be interested in, like a more traditional mouse sounds video or tapping or trigger words, I would be open to doing it. Like probably not all the time, like maybe once every little while. I guess it's just not something that I actively think about, since it's not something that I actively watch. But anyways, let me know. We're at about 30 minutes here, so I think I'm gonna call it here. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like